It was a cold autumn morning in Yorkshire, October 14th, 1998, when the news broke. Sir Reginald Hawthorne, the iron-willed patriarch of the Hawthorne estate, had been found dead in his study. A glass of brandy still in his hand, the fire in the hearth reduced to ash. He was 92 years old. To outsiders, the Hawthornes were the very image of English aristocracy. Sprawling lands, polished reputation, and wealth that seemed endless. But within the family walls, greed, envy, and resentment had taken root long ago. Sir Reginald had outlived his wife, his brothers, and most of his closest friends. Only his descendants remained. Two branches of the family, both tied to him by blood, but divided by bitterness. On one side was Edward Hawthorne, the eldest son, a proud businessman whose dealings were as ruthless as they were profitable. Edward had 3 children of his own, each raised to believe the estate would someday be theirs. On the other side was Margaret Ashford, Reginald's only daughter. Unlike her brother, Margaret lived quietly in Bath, away from the public eye. She was widowed young, raising her only son, Thomas, in modest comfort. The two families spoke rarely, and when they did, it was never with warmth. The day after the funeral, the Hawthorne family gathered in the oak-paneled library of the manor house for the reading of the will. Dust motes swirled in the morning light as the family solicitor, Mr. Clement, cleared his throat and unfolded the document that everyone had been waiting for. The room was tense. Edward's children exchanged knowing glances. Margaret kept her eyes lowered, her hands folded neatly in her lap. But as the words were read aloud, every face in that room shifted from expectation to shock. Sir Reginald had not left his estate to Edward, nor to Margaret. Instead, the will stated, "To the one who uncovers the truth I have buried within these walls, the Hawthorne fortune shall belong." The solicitor paused, visibly unsettled, before continuing, "My wealth shall pass not by blood, but by merit. Whoever among you discovers the key to my silence will inherit everything." For a long moment, the room was utterly silent. Then Edward erupted. "This is madness. A game? My father built this empire, and now he wants us to play riddles for it?" But Margaret, her eyes glinting strangely, whispered only one sentence. "He was always a man of secrets." Over the next weeks, the family descended into suspicion and rivalry. The manor, once a place of elegant dinners and summer gatherings, became a battleground. Edward's sons scoured the halls at night, pulling books from shelves, tapping on walls, searching for hidden compartments. His daughter Catherine hired a historian to trace the house's renovations, convinced the answer lay in its architecture. Meanwhile, Margaret and her son Thomas moved quietly, choosing not brute force, but patience. They studied Reginald's journals, his letters, even his annotated chess sets. And then came the first clue. In the back of Sir Reginald's desk drawer was a sealed envelope, addressed in his distinct, spidery handwriting. It bore a single line: "To those who seek, begin where silence is loudest." The family argued endlessly about what it meant. Edward insisted it referred to the wine cellar, a cavernous place beneath the manor. Catherine believed it hinted at the chapel, where the family gathered for prayer but where Reginald rarely spoke. But Thomas, quiet and observant, remembered something else. His grandfather had a peculiar habit. Whenever the gramophone broke down and the house fell silent, Reginald would retreat to the conservatory, a glass room filled with withering plants and the faint drip of a broken pipe. Silence was loudest there, Thomas whispered to his mother. Late one night, Margaret and Thomas crept into the conservatory. The moonlight spilled across the cracked tiles as they searched. Hours passed. They found nothing, but just as they were about to leave, Thomas noticed a panel loose beneath one of the benches. He pried it open, revealing a small compartment. Inside was a black leather-bound journal, its pages brittle with age. The first entry read, "To my heirs, you think you know me, but you have only seen the mask. What I give now is not treasure, but truth. Follow where it leads, and only then shall you hold my fortune." At the bottom of the page was a strict symbol, a hawk clutching a serpent. Margaret's hands trembled. "He left us a trail." Word of the discovery spread quickly through the household. Edward was furious. "That journal belongs to all of us! You've no right to keep it hidden!" He demanded Margaret hand it over. She refused. From then on, the rivalry turned darker. Locks were changed. Doors were watched. Even servants whispered about heated arguments echoing through the halls at night. But the journal contained more than riddles. It contained confessions. Sir Reginald wrote of betrayals within the family, of fortunes lost and recovered, of secret meetings with men whose names were never to be spoken. Most chilling of all, he wrote of a final sin that, if uncovered, would change how the Hawthorne name was remembered forever. By December, the tension was unbearable. Margaret awoke one night to find her son's room ransacked, the journal missing from his bedside. Panic spread. Edward denied taking it, but Margaret could see the lies in his eyes. The next day, Mr. Clement, the solicitor, received a sealed package delivered by hand. Inside was a single torn page from the journal. Scrawled in ink were the words, "The inheritance is not gold, but blood. Seek the chamber beneath the hawk." The family gathered in the library once more. Edward slammed the page onto the table. "It's nonsense! The ravings of an old man." But Thomas, staring at the cryptic line, felt a chill. He remembered the crest carved into the manor's grand staircase, a hawk with outstretched wings. Beneath it, a locked iron gate led to a cellar no one had opened in decades. That night, while the rest of the family argued, Thomas and Margaret descended the staircase with a lantern. Dust choked the air. The gate groaned as they forced it open. At the bottom of the steps was a sealed stone chamber, and inside, hidden beneath layers of dust and decay, lay something neither of them could have imagined. And that's where we'll leave the Hawthornes tonight. A family bound by blood, but torn apart by secrets. What do you think Sir Reginald meant by the truth within these walls? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so you don't miss episode 2 of Whisper Files, where the mystery only deepens.